Well, hello, friends, and welcome. Today, I want to talk about embracing pain. This is a deep, dark topic, and, there's a few points I want to talk about today. First of all, I want to talk about where do we experience pain? What is our relationship to pain? How do we go about mitigating pain? And I also kind of want to touch on how does the false positivity culture affect us from really diving into our pain. So let's get into it. Where do we experience pain? Well, I think that's pretty obvious. We can experience pain in our body. We can experience pain within our own mind, within our own emotional state. And of course, I wanted to kind of talk about how those two kind of coincide together. And, how it kind of meshes together into one, and how we can actually experience our emotional pain inside of our body. So, first of all, I want to preface this by saying that, along my own personal journey, I have gone through an experience where, from the outside looking in, my previous life with my ex-partner was quite beautiful, actually. We were extremely privileged. I lived in a beautiful home that overlooked the ocean. And it was really honestly my dream home. It was everything that I thought that I desired in this lifetime, everything that I was told that I was supposed to want, I guess. And the biggest reason, I think, why I finally stepped forward and why I finally decided to make a change is because I was experiencing such an intense feeling within my own body that I knew that something had to change. I knew that I had to take a step forward in a new direction. And, the only way that I could really describe the feeling is that it was just a gut feeling, like they say. We always say that, I just had that gut feeling. And that's all it really was, is I was very sick within my own being. And I was making healthy choices. Nothing was lining up. I just knew that I needed to make a change in another direction. And so I listened. Pain can affect the body in so many different ways. Grief can affect your lungs. Anger can affect your liver. So once again, with my own experience, living out in Saskatchewan, I really seen a lot of alcoholism in that area. People tend to drink a little bit heavier, for sure, than where I am currently living out here in BC. And I think that's just largely due to the fact that there's not a lot of things to do other than sit down with friends and drink. There's just not as many activities. There's not as many outdoor activities that are easily accessible, I guess. Not that I don't see drinking as a factor out here, but anyway, I'm kind of rambling. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at, right? So where was I going with that? Yes, drinking obviously can have a profound effect on the body, and it's in direct link to the liver. And so when we're talking about drinking, a lot of the time it can become a habit because you are trying to emotionally remove yourself from a situation. And so drinking is a really great gateway to being able to access a part of yourself that is angry, access a part of yourself that doesn't feel like you have the courage to make certain steps forward. And it works in unison with the liver. So when we're really talking about trying to release the emotional pain that you are feeling inside of yourself when drinking, what we're really doing is we're just trying to access that part of you that you're accessing through the drug. Another big one that I want to talk about is fear. Fear is one of those emotions that runs prevalent in our society. Many of us are acting on our fears instead of our desires in this world. Oh, we live in a fear-based society. We live in a society that teaches us that there is only one way of thinking, that there is only one way of really, truly creating abundance for yourself. It's starting to change. We're starting to see a wave of people that are starting to make their move online and start creating a different type of understanding, I would say, around what is possible in this world. But fear is definitely a tool that is being used in this society to try to convince us that we do not have control of our own state of being, that we do not have control of our own way of paving a world out for us. It's, you know, a big part of that is the fear of not being financially stable. And just, yeah, it's prevalent in so many areas of our society. And, you know, fear is connected to your kidneys. So when you're really talking about emotional awareness, it's starting to get really clear on where you're holding these emotions. Where are you holding them inside of you? And allowing yourself to see them fully and make conscious decisions on whether you're going to move in a new direction or not. Whether you're going to hold on to that fear or whether you're going to let it go. And so the next one I'm just going to kind of touch base because this is so obvious, but joy affects the heart, you guys. And where do you find your joy in this life is different for all of us, of course. I find my joy in my kids. I find my joy in my dog. I find my joy in my home. I find my joy, honestly, in all the little things. I find my joy in watering my garden. It's all the little things in life that joy really brings its fullness into. And that's something that I have come to really learn as I've made the transition from this beautiful home overlooking the ocean to a 45-foot RV trailer. A decision that I made to just live a different life with me and my kids. And what that has done for me is it's made me aware of the things that I was maybe even ungrateful for. I don't know if I would say ungrateful for, but just the things that I do desire to have again. But it's also helped me find so much joy in the little things in life. It's simplified my life in a lot of ways. That's something that I am very grateful for, this tiny home living, and it's given me a really good understanding of how much home I really want to be responsible for, because I do think that the more time and energy that we put into things sometimes, creates this almost distaste, this almost a resentment, to be honest, about having to take care of the yard, having to do all these things that are required of you when you own a larger property. And so yeah, it's given me a really clear lens of what it is that I truly do want in this world. And so, yeah, joy can be a tricky one, and I think that it's about finding what makes you happy in each and every moment. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And that affects your heart, you guys. It just makes you so much happier and so much more present with life. Worry affects the spleen. I don't know much about the spleen. That's something I actually have to maybe do a little bit more reading up on. But, you know, when we think about that, when we feel into it, we know that, you know, there's a lot of anxiety and anxiousness that is happening out into this world. We're living in uncertainty. I think everybody can feel that. And yeah, it can really have an effect on your body. And so if you're feeling that, if you're feeling like, holy smokes, I am just struggling here to know what way to look and what way to turn, I just want to say I hear you and I see you. And yeah, I know what it can feel like in the body of just not knowing what way is up and what way is down these days sometimes. So yeah, that's basically like where you can feel it in the body and kind of my take. And why was I given this gift to bring this poetry out? That still, I think I'm working through. But one thing's for certain is it's certainly given me this weird lens on pain compared to a lot of other people that I surround myself with. And it's just, it's been an experience. Let's just say that. Last year, I decided that I was going to write this collection of poetry. And one of the first things that I did was write a list of the feelings. Okay, if I'm going to commit to this, this is what it looks like. And it has been an experience and a half going through all of these emotions, and really I kind of had a window of time. I was privileged to be getting spousal support at the time, and I had a window of time that I was like, okay, if I'm going to commit to this, this is when I'm going to commit to it, because this is when I know I'm going to have the available funds. And I just wrote about all of the feelings that were coming up. And these feelings were surfacing not just from my own personal relationships, but they were surfacing from the feelings I was getting from the world that I was living, that I was seeing around me. And so it's given me this like wide lens of pain, I guess, and just having this experience of just diving right into it. I think I was privileged to have the capacity to write it, but also have the time available to do so as well. It's important to me that on this channel I speak to the fact that within my own story, I played a part. My ex-partners have played a part. My family plays a part. We all have parts in what can sometimes be emotionally dysfunctional relationships. And it's nobody's fault. It's simply because we live in a society where we are being taught that our emotions don't matter. That how we feel doesn't matter to a certain extent. You know, some of the most highly emotional individuals in this society are people of ADHD, autism, all of these things that we consider to be disorders. Disorder, that word, right? And that has an emotional effect on these people. It creates distance from their superpower in this world, their superpower being able to feel hard. It distanced them from the gift that they have brought out into the world. And because of that, it distances everybody else that is associated with them. It dissociates them from really truly seeing their gifts. The reality is we live in a world where we are brought in here from like this beautiful place of light and bliss, and we are shot into these basically meat bags, bodies, to live this experience and have this experience of feeling everything. We are a spectrum of emotions. We are not just happy. We are not just joyful. We are not just sad. We are not just depressed. We are not just any of it. We are all of it. And we're capable of feeling anything. And what do these feelings do? They create a different side of us, right? We call it our other side. So when we're talking about having multiple personalities, are we really just talking about having different sides to us? And maybe if we lived in a world where we all understood that we all have different sides, maybe then we could let go of the shame attached to some of those sides of us. We could let go of any of the negative shit that we have to tell ourselves. We can speak into our privileges. We can speak into our anger. We can speak into our frustration. We can speak into anything that it is that we are feeling, because you have complete ownership of it. And when we start to live in a world where we can all see that we are capable of being all of it, the shame goes away. And we can really, truly start to love each other for everything that we are. So, yeah, that was a ramble and a half. But yeah, when you change your relationship with pain, it just makes you so much more aware of yourself, so much more aware of the fact that you can be so many different versions of yourselves. And when you give yourself permission to see that, you get to choose who you want to be. You get to say, well, I didn't really like it when I did that. So you know what? I'm going to choose different next time. And that's really and you get to apologize. You get to come to people and say, hey, I see that I did that and I'm sorry. We're not perfect. You're still gonna fucking make mistakes. But building more awareness around your role, your emotional role that you are playing in your life. Will give you the ability to see that sometimes you're the one being reactive to past experiences, and it'll help you move your life forward in a new way. It'll help you move your life in a direction that feels more aligned for your greater good. I think the last point that I wanted to make was how to mitigate pain. And I kind of answered that, I guess, in the other one, but let's get a little bit deeper into that and just talk about mitigating pain on the emotional level is very challenging, and here is why. When you're mitigating pain on the emotional level, you're going to start to notice patterns within your life. You're going to start to notice things, arguments that are coming up with the people around you that you fucking love. That you full-heartedly love so much that there is no way that you want to cause a ripple in that relationship. And this is one of the biggest reasons why we suppress our pain, is because we don't want to cause a ripple for the people that we love. We don't want to make them feel pain. And so one of the hardest things to do is to mitigate a cycle that you are seeing, an emotional cycle that isn't healthy for you or the people around you, because it can be really hard for them to see it too. This is all, after all, your experience, right? And so what we're seeing, and we're seeing this on a pretty astronomical rate right now, where a lot of parents and kids separating, not being able to see eye to eye on certain aspects of life. And I honestly think the biggest reason why we're not talking about it is that we're scared. There's a lot of fear there. But also, by not bringing it to the forefront, by not saying it, by not moving it forward, we're not mitigating the pain that we're feeling in this world. Ay. Bugs. I live with bugs. And it actually makes me really happy. But when you're recording, it can be a little bit distracting for sure. yeah, so I think, I think we mitigate our pain by diving into it. And that can be really, really challenging. It can challenge your relationships. It can challenge the people around you. And, it's a process through the healing journey that definitely is in need of support, for sure. And that's why it's the biggest reason why so many of us avoid saying the things and having the conversations that I think could bring our society to a place of love and compassion for one another and everybody's roles that we're playing. Like, there is just so much divide that's happening amongst us. And when we have the capacity to sit and actually listen to one another, I think what we will find is that we're just very much people with hearts, minds, and souls on each side that are just trying to create the best future for the people that we love the most. This is a light that I came to shine into the world. The fact that we are all just people. I have personally lived a life that was pretty divided. I lived, I would go and plant trees for a couple of seasons. I planted trees. But I did work in like Golden, BC, which was just such a hippie town, and just full of people that, wanted the best for the environment, wanted the best for, BC. Like, BC is just so much like, there's a culture out here where it's, very environmentally friendly. And then I would go and I would work out in the oil sands. I had quite a few different positions in that industry. I worked construction, and I also spent quite a few years pipelining, which was a very interesting industry to be a part of. I got to really see what went into the line itself, the care and the manpower and the time that goes into putting a pipeline into the ground and making sure that it's done in accordance to all of the safety standards and procedures that have been put in place to make sure that these lines are not going to create any more environmental damage like they have in the past. And in my years that I spent in Golden, I would go to different presentations about the oil sands, different organizations I got involved with that were really keen on environmental awareness. And there was a lot of things that I could agree with them on. There was some things that I seen in some presentations that I thought, this is propaganda for sure. And so it just kind of gave me this, experience on both sides of the spectrum of seeing this world from both sides. And what I found was that there's just real people on both sides. My pipeline friends, they were just out, they wanted to create a better future for their family. And within the area that they lived in, including a lot of my own family members, there was just no work elsewhere, right? So the work called to them, and they were just out to try. And the industry was well, I know it wasn't like that in the 80s and 90s and stuff, but we took every procedure that we could to make sure that these lines were being installed in a very environmentally friendly capacity. There was people on site that made sure that everything was done to the highest standards. And so, yeah, that, you know, my two experiences kind of just has given me a wide lens on just people in general, you know, two groups of people that often don't see eye to eye. I have had this experience of loving them from both sides. And I truly do. I love everybody from both sides, but I also see the bullshit in the information that we are being fed, and I started to see that from a very early time because of my experience. And so I think that, coming back to how do we mitigate pain, I think that when we're thinking about mitigating our pain, it's really about seeing each other from both sides. It's about really sinking into that story from the other perspective, and hearing each other out, and holding each other in a heart-centered space of connection. When you're feeling emotionally disconnected from somebody, it's about seeing it from their side view. I guess I didn't really touch, I know I said at the beginning that I wanted to touch on how is the false sense of positivity affecting our society in a negative way. And I think I kind of touched on that when I was talking about what is the relationship to pain. But yeah, obviously I think that we just really need to see ourselves as everything. We're all of it. Oh my God. It's okay, you guys. We are all of it. You can be nutty. You can be playful. You can be angry. You can be happy. You can be all of it. And so just be fucking okay with it. Just be okay with who you are, what you are. And, you know, I think that if we all start seeing it a little bit more from that perspective, this world could definitely change. And so, yeah, that's my second episode on embracing pain. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Till next time, see you guys later. Bye. Much love. Mwah.